want to start with a quote. Actually, it's my quote, but I use it a lot. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. It just has to be understood. And that's an important reminder right about now, when things seem turbulent and confusing. And with this topic today, higher ground, I'd like to tell you that higher ground, we're not going with the Merriam-Webster dictionary meaning of higher ground, where there's a position of superiority. A position of superiority over others is higher ground. That's not it. We're closer to the Urban Dictionary definition of higher ground, meaning a higher, better, clearer state of mind. But our definition here is higher ground is a stronger, deeper, wider, broader, bigger connection to spirit, to God, to universal mind. That's what we're looking for. And this higher ground isn't someplace we just get to. It's a journey. I was looking, of course, on the internet last night, and I found this wonderful story. A story about what I consider higher ground. And it was written by a child psychologist, David Weatherford, and a writer, of course. It's called The Mountain of Life. A young boy stood at the foot of an unimaginably enormous mountain. It was so tall he could not see the top. For a long while, he stared at this humongous piece of earth, contemplating the challenges of climbing this mountain. Far away, he spotted an old man. He approached the man and asked him about the mountain and what it would require to successfully climb this obstacle. The old man, it turned out, had been around for many, many years and watched many, many people make this attempt to climb the mountain. And he offered to share his wisdom with the young man. He said, "Young man, this is the mountain of life. Everyone must face the challenge of the mountain. Some will reach the summit, and some will fall. I cannot tell you how to reach the top, because each climber must find their own way. But I will share with you the 10 laws that apply to climbing this mountain of life." And he went on to recite them to the boy. While many people believe there is only one path to get to the top, that is not true. There are many paths that lead to God. I mean, I didn't mean to say that, Kirk, that's what you said, but there are many paths that lead to the top. And it's not about the path you take. It's about how you experience the journey. If you stop to whine at every pebble you step on, you'll never get to the top. The best climbers are those that stop to help others, to pull them up when they're struggling. It seems to strengthen the muscles in their arms and legs while they lift others, making them more powerful climbers. The difficulties and disappointments faced during the trek will lead to many questions. But the best climbers know that every question will be answered at the top. I forgot the count, so I'll make all of them number 1. The endeavor goes best for those who make the climb with a sense of purpose and presence. You can find your purpose along the way in learning and growing. You can find that. But the best thing you can do is be present every moment to every experience. It is well known that the journey up the mountain varies greatly from time to time. Sometimes it's pleasant and calm, cool with much shade, and other times it is rocky and treacherous with periods of darkness. The best climbers learn how to accept it all, discovering their strength in the hard times and appreciating and savoring the good. Some will be lazy or misguided and will fail to make the required effort to reach the top. They will play, loaf, and indulge themselves, perhaps never getting off the foothills. They will forfeit the benefits of hard work and the wonders of pilgrimage and never know the rewards gathered at the joyful destination. Remember, everyone you meet climbing this mountain is struggling just as you are. You do not know the burdens they're carrying. Make sure that your actions, your deeds, what you do, what you say, don't add already to the heavy burden they're carrying. It serves no purpose to criticize, discourage, or judge anyone else. Because of the adverse conditions on the mountain, it requires great faith to traverse the most arduous aspects of the climb. How else can we navigate in the darkness or stay strong with all the failures that we incur? The maker of the mountain awaits at the top to welcome everyone to the summit of serenity. Wise climbers learn to talk in their hearts to this maker during their whole climb. So they are guided not by the light without, but the light within. With that said, the old man wished the lad well on his efforts to climb the mountain. The youngster thanked him and walked away to begin the climb. And under his breath, the old man said, "I hope I will see you at the top, my child." Need I say more? You know, if we focus, I'm not going to sit here, I'm done teaching. Storytelling anyway. So our journey to higher ground is something we make the intention to do because it's a rite of passage for every single human being. It's in our soul to feel the pull and the call of something greater. It's already there. We decide how much of that urge, that call, that feeling we're going to release and follow. Higher ground is sustainability for our own lives. When we get to that place, remember that deeper connection to Spirit? It sustains us, as we heard in the story, from all different things that happen in life. It generates or regenerates us because we know that being human is a rocky experience. There's up times and down times and around times and inside times and out times and all of that put together. But when we put our focus on higher ground, it regenerates us and it's available to all of us. What it takes for us is to have an awareness first and foremost. Number one, an awareness that there is a power that is, that holds the answer to every question, that is created, that's unlimited, that's goodness, and we're submersed in it, we're filled with it, we're surrounded with it, and it's there for us to use. That's the first thing we need to know on this journey that we're taking right now. We need to know that it's there. But what happens to us, you know, when you're climbing a mountain, and let's just say this is the mountain of life, and this journey to the top, which is spiritual awakening, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. But on that journey, there'll be times when the sun is shining brightly on us, and the times that we're in the darkness. And what I find is darkness scares us when we don't know what it is. Darkness scares us, and it can fill us with fear. And we know there's only two emotions, really. There's love and there's fear. And we start migrating to the fear. And the fear creates anger, bitterness, resentment, lack of forgiveness. It creates guilt and shame. It creates depression and apathy. Because at the core of every one of those feelings is a stone of fear, and that fear blocks our path of awakening up the mountain to that place of spiritual truth. All of those things right there, there's a stone of fear, and if we just take it out with a willingness to look at what we're afraid of. Look at what's scary. See, that's God calling right now, saying you've got to be willing to look at those shadows, because the shadows hold the truth. They hold the information. The darkness is going to keep us stuck. But I'll tell you what, fear does something else to us. It makes us want to be in this herd mentality, to be like everybody else. That's impossible, but we want to be like that, and it gives us prune brain. When we too far develop the left side of our logical, rational, reasonable, often fear-based mind, we prunize our right brain, which is the creative, expansive part of our brain. And we know that we relate creativity and spirituality. And so we get this prune feeling, and we get small. And you know what happens? It's like sucking all the life out of that part of your mind. And you know, stagnant water, ooh, it's yucky. It has all of this deleterious bacteria in it that just, we don't want to be around that stagnant water. But water that's moving aerates itself. It cleans itself, it filters itself, and it feeds life around it. And eventually, hint, 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 this water connects with the whole cycle of water in the world, the whole community, the whole thing. The same with our mind. If we don't feed our mind good and wonderful spiritual truths, we will never get to the top of that mountain. We'll never get to that place of enlightenment. We have to do that. I love Debbie Ford. I first met Debbie Ford at a retreat so long ago in San Diego, and she'd just written a book, The Light Side of the Dark Side of the Light Chasers, and how we have to embrace our shadow. And she says this: we must risk the journey to higher ground, where there is freedom. Freedom from the gravitational stories. You guys all have a story? You can think, from the gravitational pull of our stories. That pull comes from years of trying to prove that our stories are true. Do you ever try to do that? Be on the right side of your story? You know, my story is true. Well, part of it's true. There's another true part out there too. There's many true parts of the story. So when we get stuck in our stories, when we get stuck in the fear, when we get stuck in all these things that block that path on the mountain, we empty the part of us that knows the truth. And you and I need to take time to retreat. And those of you that are in the practical mysticism class know that, this is my favorite practice so far. There's a timer in the class, and every 20 minutes, no matter what we're doing, the timer rings and the bell goes off. And that's a sign to be quiet, to take a breath, and to be still. To take a retreat from your thoughts, to take a retreat from all that's going on, and remember the truth. How many of you are going to go get a bell or get your bell out? It's so cool. I've been doing that at home. It's such a good reminder. It's a reminder we need to empty ourselves before we can prime the pump for that spiritual flow. So often spirit is defined as a flow, a beautiful flow. So we need to prime the pump. We need to empty ourselves first, and then we need to prime the pump. If you get a pump, a new container of hand lotion or dish soap or some, God, I hope medicines aren't that big, but medicines, we need. When you first get it, the pump's empty, and you have to prime it a bit, right, to get it going. You and I need to prime the pump with spiritual practices, because spiritual practices melt the stone of fear. Spiritual practices prime the pump that gets us going to be in the energy, the vibrational energy of greater good. Now, if you think about it, imagine our thoughts are like little seeds like stones. And if we plop a stone in water, it moves out. So everything we're thinking is like energy moving out. So we have to be sure that the thoughts we're thinking are priming the pump for good, right? So we can get to that place of enlightenment to see the greater truth and know more. And it starts with the little things, awareness. John Wooden, UCLA basketball coach, the winningest coach of all times, won 10 out of 10 national championships in 12 years. And he said the most important thing to him was to start with the little things. Don't reach for the big goal right away. Start with the little things. And at the first meeting with his players, he would teach them the importance of having the right shoes that fit. They play on hard ground. Life is hard. We've got to have the right foundation, as we talked about. Shoes that fit and no wrinkles in your socks. But he didn't just say that. He first of all demonstrated how to make the toe of the sock really straight and get it on, and no crease or wrinkles in the heels. And he showed them how to get their socks on, and then he had them do it right there. That's how they started, to be conscious and aware of what you're doing. And he said in his whole time as coach, he didn't think any one of the players got a blister. Maybe, I'm not sure. But that we have to start with the little things. The little things. A reminder to take a breath. A reminder to bring your focus back to whatever it is brings you to that place that connects us with the light within. We have to learn to connect with that light within, to feed it, to nurture it, and then follow that light to the greater light, which is up the hill. To follow that to the greater light, which is up here, where we have a vision of it all, where we can make sense of things, where we can see our right story and the person who was in the other people in our story and all their rightness, and how it comes together for learning and growth and possibility. So we can see it from there. That's what we get to do. So you and I, before we have our prayer wall, I want to say a few things about moving to higher ground. The highest practice we can say, so when you ring that little bell and you're not sure what to do, the highest and easiest mental practice that we can do on the spot, any moment, no matter where we are, is to listen to that voice within and hear the I am, which is the word of the Logos, the word of God. I am. The power in those two words are creative right there. I am. When Jesus was speaking as the Logos, he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He said, I am the light of the world. I am the door. I am the vine. I am the bread of life. I am. He spoke all these things as the Logos, speaking of God. We can do that too. Now, it's not saying we don't ever say, feel sick. We can say, I'm experiencing sickness, I'm experiencing headache, I'm experiencing a problem at work, I am this. Not I am sick, I am a problem, I am, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but spur of the moment. Okay, I'm going to ring this bell, and I want you to think of one I am statement. You don't have to say it out loud, just one thing that you can just have there on your heart to prime that pump and get you to a greater place. Do you have it? Beautiful. Hold it there. When we get to that place where we're filled with the I am presence, although the I am is the universal I am, as I said before, meaning everyone, we can get to the place of you are. Pastor John Wallace said, we can't get to common ground until we get to higher ground. And in the higher ground, we see that we're all unique individuals. We're unique and originals. We're very different and very special. And we're all one. When we get to that place of higher ground, we start realizing that generosity and gratitude and grace are the ways of life. Gratitude generates abundance. Gratitude generates love. And grace generates peace, calmness, and connection. But we also see that the greatest connector is love. Love generates unity, and love generates that higher essence where we're not above anyone, but we're inviting people to join us. So as our practitioners and our ministers come and form a beautiful line of prayer up here, what I'm going to ask us to do we not have any ministers and practitioners today? I see you. I know you're here. I'm going to ask you. We've established the first 2 steps of prayer. We don't want to talk about our problems. We want to expand our possibility. So whatever's going on in your life, and I'm not saying there aren't problems because there are. I'm not saying there aren't difficulties because there are. I'm not saying there aren't traumas because there are. But we have the power to lift our energy to something more. So I'm going to invite you, whatever it is that's on your heart right now, to simply say, I lift myself with thoughts of love. I lift myself with thoughts of health. I lift myself with thoughts of abundance. I lift myself with thoughts of whatever it is that's going to lift you out of the stagnant pool of that stuff and into something more and greater. There's the energy of love that is lifting us up as we feel that power for good that's ignited in each and every person here. If we were in prayer line or if sitting at our seats, the energy of the power of prayer, the goodness, the connection with Spirit is lifting us to higher ground. We feel that love, that potential, that goodness, the I am love, I am truth, I am knowing right here and right now that life is inherently good, and so am I. I know in this moment that all people matter, everyone matters, and so I treat this world with respect and grace and goodness. I am fed from the inside out. I allow my love to do its work in abundant and joyful ways. I am lifted, and I allow myself to let this energy lift us all. In deep gratitude and appreciation, I say thank you. Thank you, God, for all that is and all that is yet to be. And we seal this time of prayer by saying together, and so it is. God bless you all, and let this day be a day of abundant joy and goodness and connection.